And welcome back to round one of the YugiTuber Grand Championship. In this match, we have Team Judgement Yugioh in the red playing Madolches going up against Kogarasho, who's playing a deck that I was told to call Insect Trap Tricks Plant Deck. And for this match's commentary, we have none other than Yugimation.
That's Yugimation times 2.
Yes, indeed. Not only one of us, but you are getting both of us at the same time.
I'm going to be outnumbered for this commentary. It's going to be a long one.
This is the triple event right now.
So, Madolches versus this deck that it's kind of really hard to describe what it really does. It just plays a bunch of insects and plants and trap tricks and does a lot of crazy stuff. So, what do you think about that going into it?
It's very interesting. I know Madolches have been having quite a big debut in this tournament. I know Nim's playing them. I know I'm sorry, whose name? Kogarasho. There we go. I had to look at it again.
No, he's not playing it.
Team Judgement
he's not playing it.
Team Judgement Yugioh.
Team Judgement Yugioh. There we go.
This is what happens when we don't read the prompt.
Yep.
And there's also a third player playing Madolches as well.
Yeah, so that's a triple event in itself with Madolche. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting to see so many people playing Madolches in this tournament.
It's kind of like the go-to deck that a lot of the players had in this tournament to just, since we're not able to play some of the big decks in this tournament, everyone kind of went towards Madolche, and it was very surprising to see that many players actually go towards the deck for this event. It's definitely something that is going to shape up to be very, very competitive to watch.
Kogarasho adding the Fiendish Chain off that potted duality. But wouldn't that deck be Ritual Beasts?
Because that is true.
A lot of people are playing Ritual Beasts as well.
That's true. Those are the two big ones that we see. It's the Ritual Beast and the Madolche.
Cordero is playing Ritual Beast, and I myself was actually going to be playing him, but I actually opted out to play something a little bit more personal, as we all know, I hope.
Crazy chicken.
But it looks like it's been doing well for you, so you can't really complain.
For now.
We see Team Judgement Yugioh going straight into a Regeki. That's really, especially just for a 1-for-1. That's really odd.
Yeah, but knowing that,
that's the Howling Insect. This one, when it's destroyed by battle, you can actually special summon an insect monster from your deck. I believe with 1,500 or less attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Regeki actually paid off for him then in that instance.
Yeah, because if he's doing that means he's probably going to go for like an attack push right now, and he knew that was probably going to be the Howling Insect. So let's see how that pays off.
We have to remember, Team Judgement Yugioh doesn't know that Kogarasho is playing this weird deck, so... Or rather, I shouldn't say weird, I should say actually original, because this is probably one of the most unique decks in the tournament.
I would be in agreement with that. We see them Dolce Angeli play. We all know what's going to be coming from that. As soon as we see the Angeli hit the field and no response to that summon, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Team Judgement Yugioh is just free to go off right now. Surprisingly, Kogarasho doesn't have anything, but he does have the Fiendish Chain, which he could use on the Hoot Cake right here if he so chooses.
Right.
Very true.
So it looks like he's going to activate the effect.
And it's surprising that he's going to do it on the Hoot Cake, because just targeting the monster is the cost for it. And we see the MST towards that Fiendish Chain. It's definitely going to stop that. MST does negate.
In this instance,
this instance, against continuous traps, MST does negate. So that's really good, though, because it's going to allow Team Judgement Yugioh to push through his combo.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the Mufui to go completely off, but he can still do some damage here.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. That would have been like the perfect combo setup to have the Mufui and the Angeli in hand.
Yep, so he's going to special summon off the Messengelato, add the Chateau off the Messengelato's effect, and he can push for some damage here.
Yeah, some pretty big damage right there.
A 2K Hoot and a 2100 Mailman.
Yeah,
we're going to see some. We're going to see some damage coming up. It's more than half the life points right there.
Paper cuts everywhere.
Yeah, these are the desserts that give you diabetes right here.
And it looks like that's exactly what Team Judgement Yugioh is going to do. He's just going to swing. Now, not knowing what Kogarasho is playing, you don't know what he could have in store.
There's two face downs. It's pretty scary. Anything can happen, especially with something as unique as we're seeing right now. I mean, Howling Insect. Who would have guessed?
Now, you know that the bottomless isn't in the backer, though, because he did get that off the duality, and he sent it back to the deck. So that's at least one good piece of knowledge off the duality to know that he doesn't have that in the back row.
Mm-hmm. Because we know that Hoot Cake would have had a hard time once he would have summoned it. I know he would have probably definitely activated the bottomless if when the Hoot Cake came out.
Oh, absolutely. And it looks like Team Judgment Yugioh is just going to go ahead and set a card and pass it back. I don't know what Kogarasho is going to do now. Again, we don't really know exactly what his deck is capable of, since it's not exactly a known deck. It's one of his creative concoctions that he's well known for.
And that's exactly what I really like about this, is that we're going into this match not knowing anything about what Kogarasho is going to be playing. He can play anything at this point. He can summon those trap tricks. We can see a Lone Flower play. We can see that one trap card that special summons from the deck if a plant or an insect just by tributing off the other one. And that's definitely something that we can see. But Kogarasho is just setting a monster and passing. I wonder if it's going to be another Howling Insect, probably to get destroyed by battle.
It's quite possible. Team Judgment Yugioh summoning off that Magileine, which is going to net him that +1. And that puts him in a really good position because he also has the rank 4 play set up.
Yeah, Tiramisu is going to be a big play, but I don't think he has any targets in his grave for Tiramisu.
He'll have at least one if he detaches.
True.
But, yeah, it's not. He won't be able to go completely off with it.
Yeah. Goal is to always try and at least get that -2 for your opponent by bouncing back, but 1 is just as good because it's bouncing it back to the deck, so that hurts any player.
Yeah, it looks like Team Judgment Yugioh is going through his extra deck, maybe considering going into a potential Tiramisu, or maybe even something else. I don't know what else would even be optimal in this case.
The only real big thing I could think right now is either someone wants to get in that 800 burn with Cowboy,
and he's not opting to go into his extra deck.
Well, all he really needs to do is just make these 2 attacks connect, and he'll have game. But he's going to be met with another Howling Insect.
So we know now that those sets could more than likely be Howling Insects.
Yes, and actually what happened was when this match was recording, it actually got disconnected. So we came back, and all that happened was a Howling Insect got special summoned off the attack, and then before Team Judgment Yugioh attempted to attack again, he flipped up a Vanity's Emptiness, but then Kogarasho used a Dust Tornado on the attack declaration, so the Howling Insect is going to get to special summon again.
Right,
very true.
That's a smart move right there. Make sure that your opponent commits to that attack, and then right as he does it, that Vanity's is gone, allowing him to special summon from the deck that insect monster with 1500 or less attack, making sure that he maintains field presence.
And it looks like he's going to go for a Resonance Insect. Now, this is a card that I'm pretty sure a lot of people aren't going to be too familiar with.
I know I'm not familiar with it at all.
So basically, if Resonance Insect gets sent to the graveyard, you can add a level 5 or higher insect monster from your deck to your hand. And then if it gets banished, you get to send an insect monster from your deck to the graveyard.
Off the bat, there's only one monster that comes to mind to grab for that, and that's Doomdozer.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with insects such as this. And we see a Tiramisu play, but we see
get met with the Void Trap Hole.
I have seen some interesting plays with the Void, not just in this tournament, but other locals and other tournaments as well. But the Void is actually beginning to see a lot more play than when it used to.
It is, and it's such a powerful card. Being able to just negate the effects of any monster over 2,000 attack that gets summoned and destroyed is just huge.
And that basically hits everything that gets special summoned now.
Yeah, all those.
Everything has such high attack that Void just becomes live for everything.
Absolutely. And so now it's good because now it gave Kogarasho some breathing room.
Right.
So he may only have 2 cards, but dealing with that Tiramisu was huge.
Exactly. And we see that Team Judgment Yugioh is actually going to be banishing 4 Hoot Cake to special summon from the deck. I wonder, like, in this play, what we might actually see, because I don't think that there is a Chateau anymore.
Yeah, that's very true. There was a Chateau. Then when the feed cut out, there's no Chateau anymore.
Yeah, there's no Chateau because Kogarasho Dust Tornadoed the Madolche Chateau, which ended up destroying the Vanities with it. So, that's what I forgot to mention earlier, yes.
I thought he was Dust Tornadoing the face of Vanity's Emptiness. That must have slipped my mind just for that one real quick.
Because, like I said, it cut out, so that's what actually ended up happening. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Everything makes sense now. The world
can
turn around.
Yeah.
The world goes round, ladies and gentlemen.
But this is really interesting because Team Judgment Yugioh is going into the Leviair play so he can recycle his Angeli.
That's smart right there.
And now the Angeli was going to get her effect, and he can continue from there.
He can, and he can use that Angeli completely uncontested now that Kogarasho's out of back row.
I think this is where a part where this player could get all the advantage he needs to set up for next turn, seeing as his opponent during his turn is only going to have a maximum of 3 cards. And he already has a nice field presence with cards in hand, so that's going to be an interesting setup to get around.
It's also important to note that Who Cake can't be destroyed by battle since it was special summoned off the Angeli, so I feel like that's why Team Judgment Yugioh decided to do that.
Right, yeah, I completely agree. Save it till next turn and then start continuing your combos going off.
Interestingly enough, he goes into the Downard over the Leviair.
Yeah, he could have potentially gotten that Messengelado back next turn, but yet again, with playing against such an original deck, we don't really know what Kogarasho can do. So that'll be interesting to see for his turn.
I think Kogarasho maybe wanted to keep the pressure. Oh, we see Naturia Cherries come down.
That's been a long time since I've seen Naturia Cherries.
That's very interesting. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and use the Naturia Cherries and the Resonance Insect to get out an Ally of Justice Catastor.
Very, very interesting.
That's really good because that Resonance Insect's going to trigger now.
Allowing him to send an insect monster from his deck to the graveyard.
No,
correct?
he gets to search.
He gets to search. That's
Hold the phone, people. We found tech card of 2015, people.
And as you were saying, he's just going to add off the Doomdozer. Yeah, the Resonance Insect, when it's banished, sends an insect to the graveyard.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he's going to use a Max C.
The open game state after he finishes adding that Doomdozer. See if he's going to want to push through that Max C, even though he can't really, I see, take the Max C challenge too much, seeing as he only has 2 cards in hand. One of them for sure being the Doomdozer. Let's see if that Max C will pay off for him for this round.
It puts Kogarasho in a really awkward position because he wants to get out that Doomdozer and potentially clear off the board for clear Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh's board, but now that Max C's down, he might have to halt that.
Right.
I'm also surprised that he wouldn't have wanted to drop the Max C when he saw the Cherries summoned, because he knows that he could have seen that was a tuner, and maybe he could go for that synchro play.
Right, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and go for the Doomdozer play.
So he is going to let Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Get that one draw off the Max C.
But at the same time, Kogarasho is now going to be able to send a insect monster from his deck to the graveyard, which could potentially set up for some other plays.
See, the combos of this deck is unknown, so it gives him that advantage of the surprise factor.
And there's a Level Eater.
See a Level Eater.
That makes things interesting.
Yes, it does, especially with that Doomdozer, I believe, being level 7, correct? Or was
I think it's 8. I think it's 8.
Right, and so Kogarasho is going to go into battle right now, and he is going to be attacking that Who Cake because it can't be destroyed by battle from Angeli's effect. So Catastro's effect will trigger, and it will just destroy the Who Cake by card effect without any damage calculation.
And the Doomdozer is going to go ahead and run over the Downard Magician. And for those of you who aren't too familiar with the Demise OTK format, Doomdozer is a really big part of that. And so aside from the fact it's basically like a BLS for insects, and it's really big, on top of it, when it inflicts battle damage, the opponent has to send the top card of their deck to the graveyard.
Seems that effect most of the time might fuel combos in this meta, but in this match, anything can happen, especially we don't know technically what Kogarasho is playing, and it could actually help him stall his opponent out. Maybe he's milling the top card of a very combo-based play that he might have gone for, but we don't know as of right now. It can be anything.
Yeah, and I actually do believe that the effect of Doomdozer is mandatory. I don't think it's optional.
Oh, and he mills that same Who Cake that he sent back.
That's unfortunate. But Kogarasho does have one back row, though, so...
So that was an interesting play to come back from a setup like that, so...
Under Max C on top of it. I mean, even though he only gave Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! one card, it still completely shifted the game around.
Correct.
And that Magellan coming out to get that search, it could, since he milled the Who Cake, he's probably just going to either get another Angeli or another Who Cake from that.
Yeah, just depending on what else he has in his hand, he might want to set up for some potential combos later on. But that's not really going to do him a whole lot because he's just going to completely get run over by Kogarasho's Catastor and Doomdozer during his turn.
That's going to be a lot of damage.
Oh, so he gets the...
That Magellan adds the Mufo That can potentially spell some very heavy combos, considering for Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh's next turn, because he could have maybe an Angeli or maybe a Who Cake, maybe even a Messengelado inside his hand. So
Yeah,
that Mufo is
based on that telegraphs that he might have something big planned for his next move.
Mhm.
So hopefully Kogarasho can potentially do something to prepare for it, but he's in a pretty commanding position as of right now.
Yeah, he's done an excellent job in turning this game around into his favor. We saw from the beginning of the match that Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh was just having a really good advantage, and now the tables have shifted to give Kogarasho this advantage, especially with the Doom Dozer, the Catastor, and the back row with a card in hand. So
And now the
anything
newly
can
joined
happen.
Level Eater as well.
Level Eater joins the fight.
Right.
It doesn't matter how small
No,
he
it
is.
Hey, that's 600 damage. You never know. That could be all he needs.
It only takes 100 damage per game, sometimes even 50 if you run the Evil Swarms or any of those other archetypes that have that weird attack and defense. So 600 could mean game maybe eventually down the line.
Kogarasho going to go ahead and swing with that Doom Dozer, and it's going to force Kogarasho to send another card to the top of to his graveyard. That effect.
And that's
back
when
in
he
the day
destroys a
was-
monster by battle?
It's when he inflicts damage.
Oh, wait. Oh, inflicts damage. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, wants to maximize on the damage, so not attacking with Catastor, because that'll just destroy it without damage calculation.
Exactly. So he's going to push in for another 2,800 right here.
I am seriously impressed by how this match is already turning out. Just how quickly Kogarasho was able to shift the tide on just his one turn, and even taking that very small and minimal Max C challenge with the Doom Dozer. It's still, and we see that he's setting another back row, so it looks like he's in a very good position right now to potentially win game one.
Yeah.
And we know we don't need to worry about Regeki, because that was used on the first turn from Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh, so he's pretty safe right now, or has a safe feeling that nothing big's going to come out.
So it looks like Team Judgment Yugioh is going to go ahead and go with the Mufui. Potentially might have something big here. He's going to activate the effect.
I think I might have spoken too soon, so...
Kogarasho might have a response, though. He does have
That
two
is
back
true.
row.
These two face down are scary for anyone.
No one loves going with a combo blindly into back row.
Yeah. Especially he milled that MST he could have blindly used as well. So.
It's possible, but it looks like Kogarasho is going to allow it, and there's the Angeli.
Just as we were fearing, that Angeli can definitely set up some plays. This is the two-card combo right here. If this play goes off, a lot of Kogarasho's field could end up back in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh could easily clear off that Catastor and that Doom Dozer with a tiramisu play here.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to tribute off the
really-
Angeli, get the Who Cake.
Oh, the energy from both these players is really good. It's like these are the kind of matches you want to see. You want to see that back and forth, field wiping, field advantage, the field loss. This is what leaves really good games to watch. So I'm really enjoying this.
This is Yu-Gi-Oh! For real men.
Yeah.
And looks like Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh gets out the Who Cake and going to activate the effect.
Kogarasho thinking out his plays, those back row.
Ooh,
Oh, and we
let's
see a
see.
Fiendish Chain flipped.
That's the second time Who Cake's been met with a Fiendish Chain this round.
Yep.
Let's see if we have that MST negate.
Well, he knows that 2 MSTs are already gone right now. Because the first one was used on the first Fiendish Chain, and he milled off the second. So the chances of him having the third are not too likely. Yeah, so it looks like right now that Kogarasho is calling out Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he was trying to banish the one of his monsters for cost for Who Cake, but actually you don't banish for Who Cake's effect for cost. It actually just targets for cost.
Right. And then the banishing will be part of the resolution of the effect. But since it got Fiendish Chained, that banishing won't actually happen. We see...
Right, and that's actually really important because if he decides to go into a Leviair play here again, if he happens to run a second, it's vital because the card that he banished could be resurrected with the Leviair.
Mhm. Most of the time, seeing as a Madolche player, they will try to get that Angeli back on the field as quickly as possible because that effect is just too good not to use.
Right. But Typically, yeah, I was going to say, we see the mech-whipped engineer come down, and typically they don't run more than one Leviair, so I was curious to see what he was going to go into.
Mm-hmm. And at least that engineer could guarantee him at least some safe play for next turn. Especially by the catastrophe effect and or being destroyed by battle, but anything that set back row could be a compulse, almost rendering engineer completely worthless with his effect. But we see that not happening.
Not to mention, he does get in the 1,200 damage, which, I mean, that could be enough to potentially win him the game later on. So
very true.
That was a big hit, just running over that level eater.
And especially since Kogarasho took that 4,100 damage in the very beginning from that hook kick and the messenger lotto play, it's definitely the life point damage will start stacking up if he starts taking hits like that.
Now, I wonder how Kogarasho is going to choose to deal with the mech-whipped engineer, if he even can.
Because we do have that one set back row that maybe he's just waiting for his opponent to take that opportunity to attack and try and bait out the materials, and who knows, it could be a mirror force back there. And
absolutely. We see the Trap Tricks Murmillo come down.
The first Trap Tricks of the game so far.
Absolutely, and that's going to allow Kogarasho to add a trap hole normal hole trap card from his deck to
traps,
his hand.
Things. It's very wholesome. That was a bad joke.
And that's really good. That +1's really big because it just gives Kogarasho even more defense.
Possibly allowing him to get that bottomless if it's not already set previous, because we saw it in the very beginning with the duality, and it can put on a lot of pressure for Team Judgement Yugioh. And Kogarasho does in fact grab that bottomless trap hole with the Murmillo, so now we can have a much added pressure for anything that Team Judgement Yugioh might do on his turn.
But we know that Kogarasho is actually playing a wide variety of holes, because he did play the Void Trap hole earlier on, and that is a target for Murmillo as well.
Yes, he has lots of holes to go through. He's just sifting through holes and holes.
Now, and that thing is too, because Kogarasho is playing such a unique deck, we don't really know, we can't really forecast a lot of plays because we don't know what the deck is truly capable of doing. So he might have some answers already planned out that we have no idea that he can do.
He's just gonna have to flip him face up for us.
He's gonna level eat the Doom Dozer again.
Maybe just to get some added field presence, just in case if anything does happen for the following turn.
Possibly. And he might be wanting to purposely get the Doom Dozer lower, for whatever reason it might be.
Who knows, maybe a rank 4 play, maybe to even go to Castell and bounce that engineer back. That could be some play there.
Yeah.
If that Doom Dozer lives long enough.
Oh, interesting. So
Kogarasho
is going to flip the Naturia's Sacred Tree. You were mentioning this earlier,
right.
Yukimation. So this card, this is a really interesting trap. So what this trap does is, it allows you to shuffle back a insect-type monster, and then you get to special summon a plant-type monster. And then, you tribute. You don't send it back. You tribute it. And it actually works vice versa as well. So you can tribute a plant monster to special summon an insect monster. It's a really cool and versatile trap.
And we see that glow
especially in a deck like this.
Peeking his little head out. Oh, now we could probably understand the level leader for a Formula Synchron play.
Yeah, because that's going to be a Formula Synchron, and then that could potentially lead into something even bigger.
Exactly, because he has not used the effect of Glow Up Bulb, which we just saw him bring out right now. So who knows exactly what he can do. He can sync with that Catastrophe. He can sync with that Doom Dozer. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the Naturia's Sacred Tree is just opening up so many plays for Kogarasho right now.
Is the Naturia's Sacred Tree, it's during either player's turn that you can do that?
Yes, it is a quick effect, so you can do it during either player's turn.
That is amazing. You can start dodging stuff, start specialing from the deck, start thinning it out, getting effects if you're special summoning the Romellos or the Dionas, which I'm fairly sure Kogarasho runs.
I imagine, and it looks like Kogarasho is going to go into the Formula Synchron, which is going to allow him to draw a card when it's summoned, so that's really good. It's just more card advantage.
And this puts him in a very, very advantage-filled spot right now, seeing as he has Formula, which could potentially go into 7 plays with Catastrophe, and if he gets the Doom Dozer to a lower level, there's another play right there.
Well, I believe the Doom Dozer is a 6 right now, so he could go into a potential 8 play.
Probably even maybe Scrap Dragon to get rid of that useless Fiendish Chain in the back row.
Yeah, it's possible. And it looks like he's going to sync up with the Doom Dozer and the Level Eater and the Formula Synchron.
Oh man, that's a triple threat right there.
That's 9 stars.
Right.
What's he?
Oh,
Mistworm.
Mistworm.
Wow.
Wow.
And this will allow him to even bounce back his Fiendish Chain, right? Because it's... Is it your opponent's?
Yes,
or it's been a while since I've seen...
it is your opponent.
Oh, your
So it's
opponent's.
going to shuffle back only the Mech Whipped and the Face Down, but that's really all he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That
there's
Mech
some...
Whip can't use its effect to save itself because it stops itself from being destroyed, and Mistworm will just bounce it right back to the extra deck, leaving Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh's field completely open for both of the attacks.
This just shows the potential that Kogarasho's deck has. The fact that it can just go into a Mistworm and just completely throw someone off like that.
It's
And
completely out of the blue like that.
It stumped me on the wording because it's been so long since people have seen Mistworm, and it's so unexpected, and it's just such a great play right there.
So it looks.
And that's going to be it. Kogarasho is going to take game 1. We're going to go straight into game 2.
Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Admitting defeat for game 1. It's a bold strategy. Let's see if it pays off for him.
What do you think Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Has to do to adapt? I mean, especially because he doesn't even really know how to play against Kogarasho's deck.
Maybe anything that would probably be generic for a side deck, but the metas are just run so heavily on Necros and all the other decks that we know aren't part of this tournament, but people are still in that mindset. So who knows what Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Could have sided, especially such a road deck like this. I mean, what do you side?
So a really interesting start for Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! He's going to summon a Hoot Cake and set 4.
I believe one of the perfect plays if that Hoot Cake was a Mageline, and that would be some potential right there. Oh, and he summons the Myrmelio.
Yep, Kogarasho opening up the Myrmelio. That's a perfect opening play.
Can't get any better than that. And we see...
But the Trap
You
Tricks...
see a bottomless, but the Myrmelio is unaffected by the bottomless trap
Yeah,
hole.
that was definitely not a good play for Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I think Team Judgment Yugioh just it happens sometimes where players are unfamiliar with the effects of the Trap Tricks cards, that they're unaffected by all other whole cards.
Most people tend to forget that part of their effect, which, as we can see right now, it was perfect to make Team Judgment. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. It's really hot in this room. Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Lose that bottomless. So
Yeah, that's huge, because now that's his only one gone, and Kogarasho is going to make full awareness of that.
And of course, with Myrmelio being 1600 attack and Hoot Cake only being 15, that is perfect just to run it over and get that Hoot Cake right out of the field. Shuffling itself back into the deck will not have any monsters in the grave, just in case he does get another Hoot Cake.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't have a Chateau, or really just anything that he could have used to just pump that Hoot Cake up to prevent it from getting run over this easily. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and attack. Let's see if Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Has any real back row to protect the Hoot Cake.
It could be 3-set bluffs, and it is not. We see a compulse from Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! And not compulsing the Trap Tricks Myrmelio, he's actually targeting his Hoot Cakes, just in case he can possibly set off more combos with that in his later turns.
I feel like he did the smart play by bouncing back the Hoot Cake rather than the Myrmelio, because then Kogarasho would just get another +1. But at the same time, I feel like Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Should have just held on to the Hoot Cake if he was going to end up resorting to having to do that.
Ooh,
and Kogarasho with the 5 back row.
And we know that one of them is automatically a bottomless, so it puts Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! In a very tight spot right now. It's intimidating to go up against even just 3 or 2 back row, but this is all 5.
Or Dewey. He could have the bottomless in his hand and he's just bluffing.
Ooh, the greatest bluff of the tournament. It's like, did he set the bottomless?
And luckily for Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! He ends up top decking the Medolce Chateau.
So now his Hoot Cake is viable to run it over. That's if he didn't set the bottomless in the back. That could be the one card still left in Kogarasho's hand.
That's if Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh! Can get through the Great Wall of China. But he's going to opt to set the Hoot Cake, which I believe under the Chateau will have enough defense to not get run over by the Myrmelio.
Yeah, I believe that's a very smart play to make.
Especially with his limited resources.
And knowing that Kogarasho has the bottomless, yeah.
Oh.
We see an end phase Naturia's Sacred Tree. We saw what kind of work this card did last game. Let's see what he's going to do with it now.
He's going to be tributing off the Myrmelio to special summon a plant monster from the deck.
So, I mean, he has a wide variety of things. Ooh, but Team Judgement Yu-Gi-Oh! Has the vanities to stop the special summon.
He says no to that.
And that's really good because tributing the monster for the effect is actually cost, so...
So Kogarasho is going to be losing that monster and not going to be resolving the effect of Naturia's Sacred Tree. That's if he doesn't have anything else set in those other 4 back row. It could be the Dust Tornadoes we saw from earlier. It could be an MSC to get rid of that Vanity's emptiness.
Just gives Team Judgement Yugioh just some leverage in this match right now, seeing as he stopped that one combo play and now he leaves his opponent open with no monsters.
And interestingly enough, it looks like Kogarasho has the Call of the Haunted to activate on the Myrmelio.
Chaining to the Vanity's Emptiness, so he will be able to special summon the Myrmelio that he did tribute for the cost of Naturia's Sacred Tree.
And that's actually huge, because then he's also going to get the effect of the Myrmelio once this chain resolves. And I actually think that Naturia's Sacred Tree is going to finish resolving as well.
Yeah, so that's actually a really smart play right now.
Oh, actually, no, the tree won't finish resolving because Vanities will still be, if he does choose to destroy a spell or trap off the special summon of Myrmelio, it'll be in a separate chain, so it actually will not be able to resolve the tree.
There we go. Got the rulings mixed up yet again.
Yep, and that actually is exactly what... So, again, this is a second cut. The game got disconnected again during the recording. So what happened was Team Judgement Yugioh actually had an MST, from what it looks like, and he MST'd the Call of the Haunted. To prevent the Myrmelio from being summoned, and then the Vanities ended up being destroyed since Team Judgement Yu-Gi-Oh! Had set the MST to the graveyard.
Is that a Naturia Butterfly?
That is a Naturia Butterfly.
Hey, you never know what kind of advantage you can get by just negating one attack by milling.
I have not seen that card in ages. I don't even think Naturia's players ran that.
But it's a very interesting choice because... it's yet another target for the Sacred Tree.
And out of that pot of duality, he gets the Myrmelio and normal summons it without any back row to stop it. Of course, he's going to be getting that instant +1 from the deck to add any normal trap hole card.
Now, in this case, he could go for potentially Void Trap Hole, which we know he plays. We don't know what other trap holes that he plays, though. So,
I have seen some players play a lot of the... just regular trap holes, because the normal summons for some people, they may not actually think of it, but it does put in a lot of work, especially for those normal summons. Everything has more than 1,500 or 1,000 attack, but he ends up getting the void trap hole out of that search.
And I was just going to mention that the regular trap hole has the lowest restriction for attack, which also makes it that it has a lot more applicable targets.
So you're saying Kogarasho passing over his turn?
Yeah, and Team Judgement Yugioh just draws a card and sets because he cannot... Kogarasho can't get over that hoot cake with his Myrmelio at the moment, but he's going to end phase Naturia's Sacred Tree, just like last time.
Oh, and another Vanities.
But he did set that during this turn, so he won't be able to activate that.
That's very true. I forgot how to Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's still the end phase.
Looks like...
I think Team Judgement Yugioh missing that it wasn't... that Kogarasho did not start his turn. And in his haste, he wanted to really stop that Sacred Tree from going off. We see the glow-up bulb.
So that means as soon as it gets back to his turn, he actually has an option to tribute off that glow-up bulb and bring out an insect-type monster. And, of course, now having that live glow-up bulb in his graveyard.
And it looks like he's going to go ahead and banish. Did he have a Doom Dozer?
It looks like he did have a Doom Dozer, banishing 2.
Interesting. So he had the Doom Dozer in his hand. Team Judgement Yugioh activating Vanity's Emptiness. It does not stop the Doom Dozer because the Doom Dozer is an inherent summon. But I think Team Judgement Yugioh is looking to use it after the resolve of the summon?
Probably to think of the Sacred Tree. So that way he can't tribute off the glow bulb to get... any of the other insect monsters from his deck.
And I feel like that was the smart play by Kogarasho because he knew Unfortunately, he knew that Team Judgment Yugioh had the Vanity's Emptiness, so by going for the Doom Dozer before using the Sacred Tree effect, he's making it in that Team Judgment Yugioh cannot do anything about it.
Right.
And so it looks like while we were talking, he's going to... Kogarasho is actually going to chain the effect of Naturia's Sacred Tree to the activation of Vanity's Emptiness.
Right, because it is a quick effect.
It is, and so that's going to allow him to get the special summon regardless, and he's going to go for that Resonance Insect once again.
We saw the plays it made from last game, and it was actually very interesting to see how everything unfolded with just that one card, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, Resonance Insect is actually surprisingly a really cool card. It does a lot. I mean, not really in terms of a meta, but like for this deck in particular, I mean, it does a lot. It's really cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, being an insect for the itself, it can be banished for the Doom Dozers, and then he'd get his second effect off of it, which is milling another insect from the deck. So that's very powerful combos, especially allowing you to search your Doom Dozers, which I've never seen before.
Right, and that's so powerful with having level 1 synchros, because then he can just go straight into grabbing his Doom Dozer, and he's going to have at least one insect, because the Resonance Insect is, of course, an insect. So if he has one other insect, he could potentially have double Doom Dozer in no time.
And we see the normal summon of Naturia Butterfly.
That's interesting. You were just mentioning how much you love that card.
I mean, who can't love a card like that? It's so pink and cute and adorable, and keeps your monsters nice and safe.
Mm-hmm. Now with Doom Dozer,
who knows what kind of plays?
Doom Dozer attacking into that Who Cake, it will be sent to graveyard, so that Vanities will be destroying itself because a card from Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh's field was sent to the graveyard. And it looks like Kogarasho is going to be attacking with the other two monsters. Even though they're low attack, still any amount of damage definitely adds up.
Yeah, that 1500, that's going to... I mean, it doesn't matter because Kogarasho has the Doom Dozer on board. So, and especially with 4 back row, and at any moment he can just Sacred Tree one of his 2 monsters. I mean, it puts him in a really powerful position.
It puts him in an incredibly powerful position, especially now that we know the only card in Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh's hand is the Who Cake. He's going to basically be top decking whatever he can get out of his turn.
But it looks like Kogarasho's not done. It looks like he's going to activate the effect of the glow-up bulb. Milling off the Naturia bamboo shoots.
The ultimate bamboo shoot lock. I remember when that thing was kind of a thing.
The things that this deck can do. Oh, wow.
It's so interesting to see all these kind of plays.
Especially with something so unique as this.
It looks like he's going to sync up for 5 for the Naturia Beast.
That's going to be quite intimidating, considering that the only thing Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh has in his hand at the moment is just the Who Cake. It's going to be nearly impossible to get over that beast along with all that back row.
And that Resonance Insect's going to trigger, which is going to allow him to search the almighty Anteater eating ant.
Anteater eating ant. Let's challenge the viewers to say that 10 times fast.
Let's challenge the viewers to know what this card actually does.
I think it'd just be a challenge for me as well. I'd be joining them in that.
Anteater eating... It's a really weird card. You have to send 2 spell or traps you control to the graveyard to special summon it. But the cool thing is then you can just, once per turn, you can pop a spell or trap card on the field. But then it can't attack. So it's an interesting card.
Oh, I think I know where this might be going. Sending both of the Fiendish Chain and the Sacred Tree to possibly and probably destroying the Chateau. And that's going to be a very interesting choice, but also potentially a very wise choice to do, seeing as now there's going to be no field spell, and just with a Who Cake in hand, it's going to be a very tough position.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good play on Kogarasho's part, just leaving Team Judgment Yu-Gi-Oh with essentially nothing but that Who Cake. And so here comes the Anteater eating ant.
Anteater eating ant.
This is some next level meta right here. We got Anteater eating ant, we got Doom Dozer, Naturia Beast. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't. Cards that we've never even probably ever seen play before. Now being featured now, and it looks like obviously it's doing very well for Kogarasho because he's in a very, very good position right now.
Kogarasho, a very knowledgeable player, so I expected nothing less from this match.
And especially with that Nichirio Butterfly, it can negate an attack once per turn just by milling the top card of his deck, adding fuel for potential Doom Dozers.
Yeah. And it looks like Team Judgement Yugioh is just going to go ahead and set 2 and just pass. It's pretty much it's all he can do, and he knows that that's the Who Cake, and that face down can just easily get popped by the Ant.
That's right. I actually forgot about that effect. Although he can't be able to attack with that monster this turn, correct?
He cannot attack with the Ant this turn, yes.
He can't attack with the Ant-Eater eating ants. Or...
But it looks like he's going to go ahead and tribute? Oh no, he's going to sync up.
Oh, that's right. Nichirio Butterfly is a tuner as well.
And down comes Scrap Dragon.
And, we know where this is pretty much going right now.
Normal summon Nichirio Moran. Now, if my memory serves correct, when he's normal summoned, you can actually shuffle 2 Nichirio monsters. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It's when he's normal summoned, you can send a Nichirio monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then once per turn, you can target up to 2 Nichirio monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and draw 1 card.
Yeah, so it's almost like a mini Daigusto Emerald.
Yeah, mini Daigusto Emerald. And seeing as he's returning the Bamboo Shoot and the Cherries for potential use later on.
And just to get that free +1.
That free +1 right there. All thanks to Ant-Eater eating ant.
I mean, looking at this field, though, Doom Dozer, Nichirio Beast, Scrap Dragon...
It looks like this just might be over for Team Judgement Yugioh.
And he's going to use the effect of Scrap Dragon to pop the Marin and the set Hoot Cake. And that is going to be 7,800 damage that Kogarasho has on board.
That is more than enough for game. This has been very impressive on Kogarasho's part.
Yeah, for the rest of the competitors that are in the tournament, they have something that they need to study up on now.
Yeah, definitely looking towards seeing how they can play around these very unique plays that Kogarasho is going to be making during his matches.
And it looks like that's going to be the end of it. That was a really entertaining match.
Very energetic. I love the way that both players comboed on their own turns. They got over each other's fields. It was just a very fun duel to watch.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. I'd like to thank Yugimation for joining me.
Yugimation ×2.
Of course.
×2. And we'll see you all in the next match.